All right, so let's take a look at these first three questions here. So here we have x, and x is equal to 0.7. And we know that because each one of these lines is 1/10, so the 7th tenth, 0.7. Here, the coordinate planes are pretty self-explanatory. I numbered each ordered pair, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 1, over here is 2, 2 is at 2 and 6, and 3 is at 8 and 5, and then 4 is on the y-axis at 0 and 7. All right, and then the last one, 1 and 1/4, so that's halfway between 1 and a half, which is right here. 1 and a half is there, and so really what we want to look at is, so if this is 1/2, then it's halfway to that, so it's 1 1/4. And then we have 0.7, that's right there. If you kind of envision that being divided into tenths, 0 to 1, that would be 0.7. And then also we have 2/3 there. That's really close to 0.7. So, and then 2.3, 2 and 3/10, that would be about there. All right. Okay, so let's look at the first ones here. We've got the inequalities for number 4, which are false, 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 true, true. And those are just really depicting simple equal to or less than and greater than. So pretty self-explanatory. All right, now the fifth one here, this one's really quite involved. And so what I did is I looked at that very top one, or you could look at the second from the top, and I see that there are 5 parts. So if there are 5 equal parts, and there's 5 sections, there's 25 total parts. So that's what I'm marking over here, 25 parts. Now, I have 12 of those parts, so I have 12 out of 25. Sorry, this is for number 6. So 12 out of 25, and if I have 12 out of 25, I have 0.48, or I have 48%. So that's really how I solved this one. Now let's go back to number 5. Who ate more pizza, Marta or Jeff? Well, Marta, she ate 3/6, and Jeff ate 3/7. Now 3/7 is not 3 is not quite half of 7, because 3.5 would be half of 7. So 3/7 is less than 3/6. So Marta ate a little bit more by 0.5 of a piece. So she had that much more than Jeff. All right, and we'll take a look at number 7 on the next slide. Okay, so number 7 is asking you to identify 3 numbers between 5/10 and 6/10, or 0.5 and 0.6. Express one as a decimal, one as a fraction, and one as a percent. So I chose 0.52, 0.57, and 0.59. So in saying that, I've got to express, so the first one, 0.52, there's my decimal. 57% is my percentage, and then 59 1/100ths is my fraction. So that's how you get that one done. My graph work here, I divided this into tenths, and then I can just really simply go ahead and plot. That would be 5.2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There would be 5.7, and there's 5.9, or 0.59, sorry. All right, and then using less than, well, 0.52 is less than 0.57, which is less than 0.59. Tell how you would make the smaller number equal to, so I would have to add 0.07 to that. 0.52 plus 0.07 is 0.59, and then they would be equal. All right, number 8. Number 8, this is a 10 by 10 grid, so there's 100 squares, and they want to know the percentage. It's just counting the squares. So there's 67 squares that are shaded. That's 67 or 67 hundredths, so it's 67%. Write 8 and 11/20 as a decimal answer. So obviously the 8 is going to stay the whole number. And then remember fraction, divisional structure, 11 divided by 20, 0.55. Pretty simple. All right, a baseball player's batting average is 0.625, or 625 thousandths. So write this batting average in as simplest terms. So to reduce this to the very simplest of terms, we've got to find that greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor between 625 and 1,000 is 125. And so that goes into 625 5 times, and that goes into 1,000 8 times. And so that's 5/8. And what that batting average means is that 5 out of the 8 times this player is going to get a hit. So that means they're going to get on base 5 out of 8 times. That's a really high percentage. This is a player that you want to have batting for you as often as possible. All right. Now, percent increase decrease is what this next problem is about. So a 200-pound man loses 10 pounds. What percent of his body weight did the man lose? So the percent increase or decrease over the original. So 10 over 200, that's 5%, 0.05 or 5%. So that's that. Okay, so let's take a look at number 12. So Forrest got a box of chocolates for his birthday. Some of you might get that joke. And he has eaten 6 out of 20 pieces. What percent has he eaten? So 6 out of 20 is just 6 divided by 20, so that's 0.3. And 0.3 we multiply by 100 to find the percentage, so that's 30%. So the next one, really, this life cycle of the cicada and the life cycle of its parasite, they're in different cycles. So really what I did was I listed multiples of 17 and 4, and I got to 68 as the common number, or you could really think of this as almost like a common denominator. So 68, and then I took 68, and so it's going to be 68 years before they're both living, and so 68 years plus from 1980 would be 2048. So that's when that's going to happen again. All right, now Samantha over here, Samantha had 300 beads. So what I really am thinking here is I'm always thinking about 10%. So 10%, and that's where I am right here. 10% of 300 is 30. So if she has 30%, that's 3 times 30, that's 90. So 90 were green. And then 25%, well, that's 2 tens and half of a 10. So it's 30, 60, and then 15. So that's 75 were green, were red, excuse me. And then 15% were purple. So that's 30 plus 15, and so that's 45 beads. So altogether, that is 210 beads. And if 210 were those colors and the rest are blue, so 90 are blue. Prime factorization of 96 is 2 to the 5th times 3. That's 2 to the 5th, not 25 there. And then the prime factorization of 108 is shown over here. So 2 times 54, then is 2 times 27, and then 3 times 9, and then 3 times 3. So I have 3 3s, and I have 2 2s, so it's 2 to the 2nd times 3 to the 3rd. All right, and then the next one, number 17, we'll look at on the next slide. All right. All right, let's take a look at this last section of problems. So what fraction of the boys like cake better? So you have to look at this up here with cake for the boys and the total number of boys. So that's 15/27. Okay. Then you've got to look down at, for the next one, what percent of total students. Okay, so total students is 75, and there are 45 that like cake. So 45 75ths, and they want to know a percentage, so we've got to divide 45 by 75, so that's 6.6 or 60%. Now, how does the fraction of boys that like cake better compared to the percent of total students that like cake better? Well, really, you've got to look at that 55.5% of boys like cake is less than 60% of all students that like cake. Okay. Number 18, what is the greatest common factor of 4 and 15? The answer is 1, but if we list the factors of 4, that's 1, 2, and 4. Well, the only thing that's common between 1 and 15, or 4 and 15, is 1. And a very similar problem here, finding kind of almost like a common denominator or a common multiple of 24 and 18, and that the common multiple is 72. So that's how high the boxes are going to be stacked, 72 inches. All right, and then Bridget has guitar lessons. This is the same thing. You're just applying it. So she has guitar lessons every 5th day, and she has singing lessons every 3rd day. She just had both of them on May 5th. She'll have both of them again in 15 days. So that's May 20th is when she'll be having both of those lessons. All right, that rounds out our answers for today. I hope you enjoyed that. That gives you some example of what you're doing. This is a good trip down memory lane, and thank you very much.